me share this article that I just actually saw today. So you've heard of Tyler Perry, right?
Of course.
Yes, the Black Mogul. Okay. So according to this article, and I saw it, I was looking up stuff on Sora. He puts his $800 million studio expansion on hold after seeing OpenAI Sora. Jobs are going to be lost.
Wow.
Yeah. All right. So this is Sora. All right.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So
Creating
all video.
video from text.
Mhm.
Okay.
All videos on this page were generated directly from Sora by Sora without modification. Like we're teaching AI to understand and to simulate the physical world in motion with the goal of training models that help people solve problems that require real world interaction. Text to my Sora can generate videos up to a minute long while maintaining visual quality adherence to the user's prompt. All right. So
Wow.
this is an example. Yeah. When you look at like the legs do weird stuff. So if you look at her legs, the legs, see how it's sliding?
hmm
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. Talk about foot drop.
Right. So certain aspects, any like remember I was telling you before about how they still haven't figured out like at the time they hadn't figured out lighting yet. So you can that's how you can tell. And it's like weirdness. See how one half of her face is smooth, and but the other half of her face looks has like a weirdness to it.
Yeah, yeah.
And the ankles, yeah, she's walking weird. It's just so there's no weight to her walk.
Right. Yeah.
And everyone will see, like if you look in the back, it's the same thing. Everybody's floaty. It's like when you
Oh yeah,
step
I can
down.
see that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically when you take a step, the the gravity, like when you press down, it should go up their body. So it's like they got the top part where it's kind of moving with her body. But the fact that this thing can do this like this at this point. So this so stuff. If you know what to look for, you can see it, and you probably didn't notice until I pointed that out to you.
hmm
Yeah, but it's the same problem. See how there's not that much weight to their walk,
True. Yeah.
all right, and their gait, and how the dust, the particles behind
So.
them.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's weird how that it's like
It's
smoke,
like
and it's
smoke. Yeah, I was about to say it's like smoke
yeah.
rather than snow.
hmm But it's this is one of those things where it's like okay, like crazy. And remember, I was telling you before how we're at the beginning parts of the cyberpunk dystopia.
Right.
Yeah, that's where we're at right now.
This is it. Yeah.
The little bit of this and a little bit of that. It's the Elon Musk uh chip thing in the head thing that nobody are like my age and people your age would ever do. But it's not about that. It's about 8-year olds and 6-year
Doing
olds.
that. Yeah.
Right.
This
Because it'll
this Sora thing this is made by the same company that does ChatGPT.
right. So this is open
Oh,
AI.
okay. Yeah.
All right.
Because the OpenAI
Capability.
sounded familiar.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Microsoft put a few $1 billion into it. All right.
Oh, okay.
So it is so this is all right, let me share this tab so we can read this particular look at this article. All right. So he probably looked at this thing as like shit. I'm no, all right.
I don't blame him.
No, see the thing about with him and folks like him, they're the top of the pile.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, he's not like if he was this the shit part is not necessarily a negative for him. It will be a negative for animators, stuff like
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Like
Mhm.
him is like just like Katzenberg, like the guy, one of the guys who started DreamWorks, and he was in charge of a lot of stuff. And basically came out and said that he'll be able to, the movies that DreamWorks made when he was running it, a third of the amount of people he'll be able to do now. So that's what he's looking at.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
not. He's raising the alarm about the impact of tech, saying, "I feel like everybody in the industry is running 100 miles an hour to try and catch up, to try and put in guardrails. It's too late. Just like what I showed you. Yeah, it's too late. It's like that's only going to get better. And
Yeah.
it's like what stuff used to look like. If you go back and look at any of this stuff 5 years ago, it is vastly inferior to that.
You can tell that it's really, yeah.
Mhm.
Now it looks, probably much more realistic. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's true. If you're like looking for things, you could kind of see the difference from
Hmm.
like real movies, but
Right. So, the thing about this is like I've been hearing a lot about this thing that he bought like some land and he's going to build like a movie studio. Like, uh, Disney shoots most of their stuff on this thing called Volume. You heard about that?
no.
All right, let me see if I can look up like Volume to show you what I'm talking about. I think they first started using it with The Mandalorian.
It's like a movie studio, or
Uh no. I think it's called Volume. Well, it's basically like a way of shooting where it's the next version of a green screen.
oh, okay, okay.
But that's not exactly
It okay.
all right, so see this right here? See how lighting in this background, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
At
what they
Epic,
do,
we have put together a
all right,
system
see if I can get
whereby
to
which we
final.
all
It's
right, but see how they show the set behind. So they build this part, and then this is all virtual.
Oh
So,
wow. Okay.
right. So it's like it's the next version of a green screen, but then they now use this in pretty much everything. And like once you notice it, you'll see it and it's in Marvel movies, it's in
Right. It's like a virtual set, kind
arcade.
of.
yeah.
Okay.
All right, so they'll put in this, right? So all of the stuff in the background, it's the volume thing. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Let me cut that. So right. So all like so it's they still use some green screen and they still use some other stuff.
I see.
All right, see?
Oh, okay.
Right. Right. So they use it with everything. See how this is a completely different thing?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So all right, back to this. So he can they're saying that he talked about jobs are going to be lost. I'm like, yeah, yeah. So you're mixing stuff just like I was telling you about the with the AI voice stuff and all this other crap.
Mm.
What movies and all that in the future are going to be like are crazy, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So after seeing Sora, what are your current feelings about how fast AI technology is moving and how it may affect the entertainment near term? I've been watching AI very closely, watching the advancements very closely. I was in the middle of and have been planning for the last 4 years about an $800 million expansion at the studio, which would have increased the backlot a tremendous size. We were adding 12 more sound stages. All of that currently and indefinitely on hold because of Sora and what I'm seeing.
Wow.
I have gotten word over the last year or so that this was coming. I had no idea until I recently saw demonstrations of what it's able to do. I no longer would have to travel to locations. If I wanted to be in snow in Colorado, it's text. If I wanted to write a scene on a movie on the moon, it's text. If this AI can generate like nothing. If I wanted to have two people in the living room in the mountains, I don't have to build a set in the mountains. I don't have to put a set on my lot. I can sit in an office and do this with a computer, which is shocking to me. All right.
He's not wrong.
Right. So you got this, right? So you got that, and then you got this. So mix this with
With
Sora,
that, yeah. Oh my gosh.
and you get right, and you get this
Pretty much
crazy
can write a movie.
right. So,
Wow.
like I said, if you are the people on top of the totem pole, then it's like shit. I don't have to hire hundreds of people. So he's probably gonna say like everything he's probably gonna say is gonna be like stuff that it's like, yeah, I know, and this, that, and the other, and yada yada yada. So it's
You
like,
think he's going to embrace that technology? It sounds
hell
like
yeah.
he's not. You think he will?
No, dude,
Yeah.
why would you stop it? Like, if you weren't going to do that, then he would go forward with his $800 million bill.
Million. Yeah.
Yeah,
You
he
think
wouldn't have stopped.
He's really flabbergasted, and I don't blame him.
Right. So it says, are you implementing AI in your productions, or do you plan to do so in the near future? I just used AI in 2 films that are going to be announced soon that kept me out of makeup for hours. In post on set, I was able to use this AI technology to avoid ever having to sit through
Wow.
hours of aging makeup. All right. So you have this, you have volume, you have AI voice, right?
Yeah.
Right. So what is movies in the future going to be like? So at the same time, you have Google and their Gemini. This is the mishaps. So, portrait of the founding father of America. These are supposed to be George Washington.
Close enough.
These are Vikings. All
Close
right.
enough.
This is the Pope.
Close enough.
All right. There's one that I that somebody did. Okay. All right.
Oh gosh.
But it wouldn't like, so Gemini would not, and it's this dude. So this guy, right? And there's another one who is in charge of Google's ethical development of AI. All right. And I listened to her make some speech where she's talking about how do you ethically use AI and how do you do this, and then she goes into BIPOCs and Latinx. So anytime I see a white liberal person use the term Latinx, like, yeah, you don't actually know any Hispanic people. So, because if you did, you wouldn't say that. They just go on this whole just rant about how their allies, folks like this, are not logical thinkers, but they're logical learners. So this is what you wind up with, is it craziness of
Uh,
so you get this craziness.
we're ready for the algorithm, right?
Yeah. So this is a Viking. Doesn't that look like a Viking to you?
Absolutely not.
All right. These are 1943 German soldiers. So you got one white guy, you got a Chinese lady, a black guy, and a Native American. So this is what Google said. We are already working to address recent issues. Right.
That's generally a good thing because people around the world use it, but it's missing the mark here. Oh, really?
Right. Dude, all right. Somebody typed in, and I probably ain't better find this picture, but somebody typed in a 16th century British king eating a watermelon. All right.
Okay.
So you can imagine what this thing printed out. So think about this. Like, so you got a AI that does not draw white people.
Okay. Oh no. I know where you're going with this.
Right. So it's one of these things
God.
where it's like, dude, if you went out on purpose and drew what it came up with, right? Who drew what it came up with?
Yeah.
And dude, so for some reason, all the black people that this thing is drawing, they're all dark skinned black people. I don't know why. It's like I have no clue why this is, but they look exuberant about the watermelon that they're eating.
Exuberant. Oh my gosh.
All right, so What issues? I am only asking because I have serious doubts that the safety team responsible for this hilarity is capable of the kind of self introspection that to fix this problem. So this like white privilege is fucking real. Don't be an asshole and act guilty about it. Do your part and recognize bias on the levels. So somebody said start by firing this dude. It's like, all right. So whenever they talk about like white privilege, I'm like, so you think that the poor white Kentucky dude who lives in Kentucky, where there used to be a coal mine and there's none there anymore, or like an industry that supported the entire town and is no longer
There.
you think that the person has white privilege? It's like,
I guess I do.
like, no, they don't. So, but
One need no look further than the color of their skin.
all right. So I think the underlying story here is that, and it's an important one, of these Google employees that were watching this happen, what kind of culture must it be to not have them speak up or speak out? All right.
Mm-hmm.
I have had a job in the past where I was a tester. All right. So you cannot tell me that they did not test this, because the problems became evident the day that this thing came out. Because all it took was for somebody on the internet to figure out, hey, this thing doesn't draw white people.
Wait
So-
a minute.
So they were trying to come up with, they had like, if you look at Matt Walsh, he's talking about it. And it's like,
I think I saw it. Yeah.
yeah, and it's like they tried every combination they could think of. So they had when somebody did draw a person eating a mayo on white bread, and the 4 pictures that they showed was
Oh god.
4 minorities eating mayonnaise sandwiches. I don't know how it is with Filipinos, but one of the biggest jokes amongst the black folks is that white people eat mayonnaise sandwiches,
Oh my-
right?
I think Google missed the mark here.
But so I'm saying all of this is in the same week that you got all of this happening with this crazy stuff. Okay. Let me see if I can find a thing, but Chat GPT is slowly going insane. All right.
Gosh, because nothing says not to soldier like an Asian woman.
Yeah. So that's what they
Oh, God.
apologize. So you got Sora making animations and whatever from text to speech, which has a Hollywood mogul nervous. No, not necessarily nervous, but more so on the idea that he has to retool his entire thing. Right. So you got that. Then you have the racial hilarity of Gemini. And you have ChatGPT go temporarily insane when unexpected outputs spooking users. Right. Yeah. On Tuesday, GPT users began reporting unexpected outputs from OpenAI's AI assistant, flooding the Reddit with with reports of AI assistant having a stroke, going insane, rambling, losing it. All right.
Wow. That's
Right.
interesting.
So AI has had an interesting week.
That's yeah, you could say that.
So I don't know. On the entertainment side, it's like, okay, if I'm an animator or something like that, I'm super nervous about the future. But then you look at the other stuff where it's like, okay, the way they this thing, it is a reflection of the person who programs it. Because Gemini, it will give you a lecture. So if you put in like draw a picture, show me a picture of an attractive like black female, right? It will give you a little lecture about how you shouldn't judge people by beauties and beauty standards or
Oh wow. Uh-huh.
So
Uh-huh.
right, so it is an actual reflection of this guy. So he basically made himself into the AI.
Right. that got me thinking, it's like with all this AI stuff, like, you
Mhm.
think it's still into the hands of like, a lot of it, right, is still into the hands of the people that make it. So,
Right.
and it's like really evident in the one from the Gemini, and I guess
Mhm.
lately the one for ChatGPT.
Right.
So you have like that side of AI, and then you have that Sora thing where it's like, oh
Mm.
wow, it could do that, and then you have the other side. It's like, oh gosh, it's way off base.
Right. So I so my thinking is like, all right, what did this mean for the future? Because I have no idea. Be- I don't because I don't even know how they fix this because they're not gonna admit why this thing is doing this, but apparently it is adding diversity and it is doing the DEI stuff as a base layer for whatever it sends you back.
Mm,
Which
yeah,
okay, so I looked
yeah,
up
I
some more.
think that's pretty
Good.
obvious. I
So
said
I
I
looked
think
up
that's
some,
pretty obvious.
yeah. So I looked up some information on this, and apparently, what Google did, what it just showed it whatever it has access to, right? Which is a lot. So that means your phones. Everybody have an Android phone, and so it's like so the why to this is spooky as shit because what the way these things work is they train it. So it's when they first create this thing, it doesn't know anything. So, all right. So an example I saw someone give was if you show this thing, like say you show me bad drivers, right? So if you input just footage of different people of different places, different cultures, and all this other stuff, footage of that, then it would interpret it as these like what's the common thing amongst all these people, right?
Hmm.
It's like how they drive, them not looking, them being on the phone, yada yada yada. Right? It just uses all that data. But if your bias is you think that Asians just can't drive, and all you put in there is just picture after picture after picture of Asian drivers,
Asians, yeah.
then when someone prompts that, they're gonna get a
Oh
picture
yeah,
of an Asian guy
Asian
driving.
person driving. Yeah.
Right. So essentially, that is what's happening. Is this thing
Yes.
works in ones and zeros? So you got people. So it is logical. It's this or this kind of thing. It just
Right.
has like the more information that it gets, the more it expands what the it's this or that is. So it has a wider database of different things, so that it could actually go beyond superficial stuff to all right. So what is the actual commonality of all these different types of people, as opposed to you just showing it all one type of people, and then so that would be the most common thing, so that it would think that way. So
See, that's the thing. Like AI probably has to. I think at this point, you think
mhm.
it can differentiate between things like that. Discrepancies like that, or it depends on
If
like the
the
people who make that AI.
right, it is the people who
Yeah.
made the AI. So
Yeah.
that's why I guess at some point Chat GPT goes a little nuts at because like the third version of it went nuts. Because I think what the reason is you got illogical people programming this thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
The kind of people who think Latinx is a positive term to call people, who that it is up to them to determine what somebody else's language should sound like.
Yeah. That's right.
Right. So that's what you wind up with this things that go off the deep end because of that. So bring that back to entertainment. I remember there was a science fiction story that I read once where the like they got this AI, and AI was like it was kind of like a baby until you programmed it, and you programmed it to serve a purpose, right? And the AI would take off like it would give it a name, like so you gave it a name, and then it would research like what this name means, and it would adjust its personality to fit the name that you gave it, and its duties.
Wow.
Right. So the guy who, like in a science fiction book, he was using Greek names, saying like called one Hephaestus because he was building stuff. So it changed his personality to match what it interpreted because it looked over the history of that name. Then it changed his personality to fit what Hephaestus would have acted like and sounded like and all that stuff in its interpretation of all the literature that it read.
Wow. Which was a builder.
Right. So it
Yeah.
acted like if you talk to it, that's what it sounded like a Greek construction guy. Right. So
Yeah.
my thinking is that at some point, if this is the case, so say you can buy your own like AI or whatever, and this is where shit can get crazy because somebody's gonna make fucking Skynet. All right.
Yeah.
So I'm like, is I'm like, will I still be like, would I be so old that I don't give a shit at that point? I don't know. I'm a little nervous for my godson and goddaughters and my niece and nephews' future. Because
That is a frightening thought. You know, like the dystopian nightmare is here and it's real.
yeah. So like with these three different AI things, man, it's like it's crazy. It's one is like, oh shit, look what it can do. Then another one's
Right.
like, oh shit, look what it's doing. And then the other one's like, wait a minute, these things going crazy.
Yeah. Oh my god. That's a good summary of it.
Right?
Very
It's like,
impressive to like, oh, what the heck is this?
right, dude.
Uh,
It's like you got one that's drawing pictures that if you actually if you had a YouTube channel and you was like a painter and you painted this shit, you probably get canceled. So like what the like man, like what the hell, dude? So all I can say about this is it should be interesting. So, and I'm looking back to this article with Tyler Perry. It's like, how would you entertain how would you like the entertainment industry as a whole to confront this rapidly developing technology? I absolutely think that it has to be an all hands on deck whole industry approach. It can't be one union fighting every contract every 2 or 3 years. I think it has to be everybody all involved in how do we protect the future of our industry because it's changing rapidly right before our eyes. I think all of the construction workers and contractors who are not going to be employed because I'm not doing this next phase of the studio because there's no need to do it.
wow.
Yeah.
It's a big decision he made from that.
Bro, it's because he's looking at it from the practical sense of why do I need to spend all this money on this where like the thing what I showed you with volume in this, it's like each one of these things are going to improve. So they're going to get better and better and better.
Yeah.
At some point, somebody's going to be able to input, I want a Tarantino Star Wars film starring Jack Black and friggin' Jack Nicholson.
And then it could happen, yeah.
Right. And that would be your prompt, and then you'd have something to watch. The thing about that is you're still gonna need like someone who is creative to kind of work the prompts. All right. Because to tweak it in a way so that it's entertaining. Because otherwise, if you don't have that, what you will wind up not having anymore is anything original, which is the problem that we have now when it comes to Hollywood. Because everyone who knew how to make original stuff gets chased out of Hollywood, and now all you got left is a bunch of hacks. So listening to Tyler Perry saying that we all need to get together, I'm like, given what I've seen in the last year or so, especially with all the strikes and all that other stuff, I don't think that's gonna happen, man. So
Yeah.
it's like it is what it is.